And as soon as you saw openings for the Jarvan, SkewMond went Duncan.
Yeah.
It's really easy to forget. This guy's on his debut year in LEC. I think he's been fantastic in this split, and he's shown a lot of good gameplay in this series so far. Of course, Jungle Pool is also getting really hit now too. Not that many AD skirmishes left, which have been the choice of the meta, really. I've mentioned about on the desk as well, a lot of priority lanes being quite valuable now. KC have moved over to red side. They'll be able to get that counter picking, and that does mean potentially our bans change a little bit too. Of course, Pantheon made it through last time. It was banned in the first 2 games, but not the third where it was played. Talia was one of our standard ones. Azir was the other one, the sore thumb sticking out.
Azir and Yunara are both up right now. So KC have a decision to make. Do you ban the Azir, give away Yunara? Do you ban the Yunara, give away Azir? I think, although Caliste has had some...
Do you leave both up?
He's had some mistakes. I would probably give Yunara and expect Caliste and Targamas to be able to play into it, because you can still play a Hypercarry, you can still play a Theria's Thresh, you can still play Jinx Thresh, you can play Jinx Lulu, you can still like scale into it. Instead, they're going to leave both up.
Yeah, okay.
Get rid of the Nico, one of the last engaged supports really available. You're looking at Leona. Yunara first pick for G2.
Alrighty, Yunara been very strong in lane here in EU. You start that Q and you get threatened that reset. KC need to find a way to, yes, either scale up alongside the Yunara or find a way to dive onto her and really make her feel vulnerable. The Azir scales up. Vladi comfortable on that. We did talk about, you know, his mages being his comfort pick. And it's the good old EU Maokai. Now, we talked a lot of crap about EU Lucian, both on last game and on the desk as well, for good reason. EU Maokai, though, we love that a little bit more.
We do like a good EU Maokai. Also, I like what it does for KC's composition already. You see they're saying frontline plus damage dealers, and that's what's worked so far for this series. G2, they're looking towards the Ziggs mid here for Caps, and of course still decide to delay that. It's going to be locked in.
There we go. All right, so Ziggs for Caps in the mid lane, very likely. Outside of some random switch of Yunara into top lane or something like that. We've seen a couple of teams try this out, particularly BLG and LPL have really liked playing the Ziggs into the Azir. I think for a number of years, teams were really reticent to pick this up. It has been a good pick into Azir for a while. One of the ways you beat Azir is to slightly outrange him, poke him off the place, and you can't exactly sustain up there. They have themselves a strong front line as well. Both teams figuring out what we found out in the first 2 games. Strong front line, long range, scaling back line. Bob's your uncle.
Yep, perhaps. It seems to work. But the thing is, if both teams do it, which one wins?
But that's what I really want to see.
Team fight
exactly. It comes down. No, that's exactly what I want this series to be about. I want it to be about execution. I want it to be on fingers on mice and keyboards. Who plays it out better? Because both these teams look very comfortable in game 1 and game 2. A strong front line, ranged, scaling back line.
And we have the Jhin locked in for Caliste. It's been 5 years since Caps last brought out the Ziggs.
Jeez, really?
Yeah, it's 2020 spring playoffs against Mad Lions. He lost that game, but he beat XL earlier in the spring. So he's 50% win rate on it all time. Wow. 1-1.
I mean, it's just a coin flip for the game then, Manic. The numbers don't lie.
Might as well just flip it right now. Nocturne banned away by KC.
Right.
The thing with Paranoia is a lot of people look at it as this engage tool. It is a great engage tool, but it's also a superlative disengage tool. The ability just to pop the Paranoia when the enemy team tries to engage, when they put down, for example, the Grasping Roots, right? When the Maokai ult comes out, just pop the Paranoia. It's like, how does the Azir know where to go? How does he get on towards that backline? Not Grasping Roots.
Nature's Grasp.
Nature's Grasp,
I was going to let that go. I was going
Nature's Grasp is no, we have to be correct here. We have to be correct.
Oh, that's a problem here, man.
That's a struggle sometimes. Aatrox the second ban here for G2. I wonder if KC will continue to pinch that jungler pool. As you said, it's already lacking quite a lot. The Trundle has already been banned out alongside that Nocturne.
I actually wonder, are we going to see the Morgana at this point in jungle? The Vi's gone by. We talked about it being kind of powerful in solo queue. Baytron played it for BLG earlier today, which we mentioned earlier. I get to have like 2 LPL references a day. That's about it. I've hit my quota now. But I do wonder whether that's the question now. You can use that Black Shield against Nature's Grasp, as we discussed earlier. And again, have a bit more of that ranged advantage. You do wonder. It looks like we've got quite, again, very structured front-to-back standoff team fights. A lot of range involved with frontline trying to give those carries space.
Also think about support pools here. Like Leona is definitely rising in priority for me. The Bard banned away by G2. Want to make sure their low mobility backline threats, the Ziggs and the Yunara, don't get caught out with that tempered fate. KC have to pick first. Can just pick a top laner into the Sion. You already know the matchup that you're going to be playing into. and then leave your support for last if you want Targamas to get a counter pick.
Yeah, there's a world, I suppose, where you could also flex the Maokai into support.
True.
Less likely, but just worth putting that on the table too. Think about that. Picking him. All right. Okay. Now that's a Canna champion. That's a Canna champion saying, all right, square up, BB. Square up. Canna, on the whole, got the better of BB across this series. Now, it's 3 games. I think 1 was to the side of BB and that Yorick very much so. The other 2, I think Canna was really dealing well with the matchups he was given there.
Yep.
Now, the Jayce into the side can be very risky. You mess up once, a good chunk comes through from the side, and actually, something like the Ziggs roaming up with an ultimate, or whichever jungler comes in, can be a real problem for you. Canna will have to be aware of the threat which G2 can bring to his lane.
And the Jayce is banned against Karmine Corp in 73% of their games because Canna is just really good at it. So I'm not too surprised to see him decide to pick it up. As you say, can be a little bit of a difficult matchup, but like the Braum from G2, I was thinking about it with the Jhin, with the grasping, Nature's Grasp. You want something to protect you a little bit. Volibear, a solo queue terror in the jungle here for SkewMond. We talked about new picks, you can tick that off your bingo. First time we are seeing it here in the LEC. Cosmic Drive, Navori Flick Blades is the build you usually go for with the Jack of all trades.
Can I just say, the bingo people missed out the Baron power play 1-2. You missed that. I was checking if you sure. You didn't. The Volibear hit really important for a number of reasons. One, Jayce is not safe under tower anymore. That's the huge reason. If you ever get a wave push in, it's a big problem because Yorick, the Volibear, turns off the tower. You are not safe. Also, point and click stun. The Ziggs ult comes over the top of it. It's another way to set up for that too. There isn't much setup for the Ziggs. That's all you're getting here. It's not like you have the Jarvan or Leona or something like that. Caps is going to be somewhat on his own when it comes to throwing his skill shots on target. Right, goes towards that Sejuani. And it is going to be that Maokai flex down to that support.
Good call on the possible flex.
Oh, you did say we had to be correct. You know, I took that to heart, you know.
Got it. 100% correct. So both teams, front to back is the name of the game. Obviously, the Volibear can apply a little bit of pressure in the early game. Sejuani will struggle if they're in that pure 1v1 because Volley is just so good with the frenzy. It's skirmishing with other people. We'll see. I expect a slowish early game again, though. I think both teams very happy just to scale up. Canna putting pressure on Broken Blade, possible.
I mean, I see a Braum and a Sion for level 1.
Yeah, maybe.
Also Volibear as well. I'm just saying, it is not outside the realm of possibilities that G2 cook up something special for the early game.
Now let's get into game 4. Do or die for Karmine Corp. They will have further chances at making it to Madrid or getting to Worlds, but in this series, on this day, they need to win out the last 2. For G2, is it business as usual? Is it another Worlds made? Only missed it once in their history, 2021, the year they want to forget. And the question is, can they continue those winning ways? I don't see too many shenanigans happening at the level 1 here, Nymaera.
Oh, damn. I forgot that thing about being correct. It happens every so often.
Wait, you said there could be.
That's true, that's true. Left it open. Need the,
ambiguousness is our savior here.
A game of League of Legends will take place. We're really on the
No, because Chrono Break could happen. Then 2 games of League of Legends.
If that doesn't happen, then we're fine. You know, we are the fortune cookies of casting, apparently. Leave it as vague as possible. And of course, you're talking about G2. You know, they are part of the scenery of Worlds. Worlds doesn't feel like Worlds unless G2 is there. KC, though, have really staked a claim for their spot coming out of EU, though, after this year, particularly after that first split, going into first stand. KC gained a lot of notoriety across the world. They're a game down now. They'll have to claw back into the series if they were to make it at the first attempt. And there is a potential level 1. The Braum Volibear, some threats here. Q landing.
Winter's bite on Targamas. Immediate walk away from Hans, Labrov, and SkewMond. Caliste was there, and there was a blast cone available for Yike and for Vladi if they wanted to come across the wall. Vision not invested by G2. They know that Yike is starting on that side of the map.
You still haven't crossed it out.
Yeah, but they then have to like pick it up and move it across, and it's just so much effort, Nymaera.
Objective steal. There was an objective steal too, I'm pretty sure.
There've been a few. Yike in game 1 and 2.
No. Now, we are casters of League of Legends, but if I was a caster of Bingo, I'd be having issues with that.
Well, as a caster of Bingo, I don't think your job is to go around and make sure everyone's ticked off the Bingo chart properly. I think you just say, 2 polar bears, 88. Pair of umbrellas,
All
11.
the ducks, 22.
Yep.
Have you ever thought of doing just a completely wrong one for that?
Oh, I mean, I think 2 polar bears is not 88. I think that's an entirely different thing. As Caliste and Targamas trade into Labrov and Han Summer. There's the heal early. They're looking for that Winter's Bite. Concussive blows, need a couple of autos. Caliste gets underneath this tower just in time. However, the KC bot lane is hurting.
Yeah, that level 1, level 2 from the Yunara and the Braum is really nasty, particularly the Yunara, once you get that Q stacked up, does have an auto reset. Yep. And you slow them into the Braum Q and get that confirmation of the passive pretty easily on the whole. And you know, the Maokai does quite well for the Jhin later into the game, where you root into root, the saplings open up a W angle. This was very popular in Worlds 2021, for those of you that remember, which is the year which G2 tried to forget. It was what down 1 used to be T1 in their semi-finals. It was very, very famous there.
Canna taking a tower shot there. Bone plating going off as well as Broken Blade just roars at one of the minions and then forces Canna away a little bit. This is bad. Like, it's not great for Canna. Obviously, he's still ranged into melee. Should be able to win out this matchup, but having to use his potion that early is not what he wanted.
Yeah, you just need to keep an eye on that. One of the big problems with Jayce is that you don't have great sustain. The grass gives you a little bit. Also, I'm talking about Worlds and actually Jhin and Maokai. Of course, Canna was in that series at 21 semi-finals, so it'd be a trip back to Worlds for him. A couple of the members on the team as well. Yike and Targamas been there before. SkewMond
going for the full flank here. Yike is going to meet him in the bush. They're looking for Canna, but both the junglers will meet up. Broken Blade getting traded on here by Canna. Yike losing the trades to the Volibear, just like we talked about. Canna now needs to run, flashes away from the knockup. Broken Blade should be able to retreat from this. They might turn back onto Canna. They know he's got no flash. The volley with the chase flash forward for the stun and bring down the axe. BB on the board early doors.
Turns out Sion doesn't just cut down trees, cuts down men as well. The man of tomorrow fell today. Jayce dead for first blood. That is a problem. Canna really wanted to get ahead in this matchup. It's going to start from a bit of an awkward spot.
He's going to have the TP back in here, flashless as well, whereas BB maintains his. The reset actually coming out from Han Summer, perfectly timed to catch this wave. So no minions going to be lost here for G2. Broken Blade catches the bot side. This is earlier than we have been seeing it. Usually happens in about 3 minutes time. But it seems like G2 are very happy to put BB in a 2v1 if needs be.
But look at the way the wave is set up as well. When you go for a lane swap, you want to meet the wave right at your tower so you can catch it right about here. They do that on both sides of the map. Typically you get that set up for one side of it, but because of the death in top side while Canna was trying to crash it in, means that Hans can pick it up at the tower. On the other side, BB does the same on the bot side of the map. So G2 getting a good amount from both of them, and they get to choose what they do with the waves. If you have the wave on your side, typically you can set up for a slow crash, but you can also try and freeze it out if the situation's right as well. What it means though is G2 get the choice, and that's the important thing.
G2 will be very happy with that early sequence. About 700 gold ahead as well. Cap's getting a little bit of a lead in the mid lane, but the majority of that obviously sitting on SkewMond and Broken Blade. There's a dragon up in this bot side, but I don't think either team's really going to want to play around it too early on. You know, undermanned on this side of the map right now, with your bot lanes being up towards top. Labrov getting a bit of vision in towards the enemy jungle, and you can see the pings from KC being like, we're not quite sure where he is. He's probably around mid right now, so step back. Vladi, be wary. Again, Labrov is, man, this is true support gameplay. He catches the bot wave to make sure Broken Blade doesn't lose any minions. He then catches the mid wave to make sure Caps doesn't lose any minions. And then he shepherds SkewMond into the jungle to steal away these razor beaks.
It just reminds me of, you know, back in the day, back in like 2013, 2014, where you get more tower kills than champion kills. Like, oh man, the rotations, that's the gameplay we're here for. This feels like the more modern nature of it. It's all about catching waves at certain points and holding it for your teammates. This is a connoisseur's game of League of Legends at points.
We went from supports not getting any gold because they had to spend it all on wards and such, to now supports not getting any gold because they're never near the minions to actually last hit them.
Isn't that arguably worse? Because it's just so tantalizingly close, and yet it's not there.
Please let me auto this minion. The Drake, though, taken by KC, knowing there was an investment in the top side by G2, so they do get themselves on the board in terms of neutral objectives. And for now, they'll be okay with that. They are bleeding a little bit across the map, but it's nothing too consequential, especially since they do scale well into this game. Jayce Shock Blast, you've got the Azir, you've got Jhin, who can do damage, even though I know a lot of you think he can't. See the slow there onto Targamas. They go for Caliste. There's the stun. Immediately cleanses and gets the heal from Targamas as well. The root coming out from the tree. Dodges away from the stun and steps back in. Yike was just around the corner in the tri-bush, but decides against going any further.
And again, just look, they get to choose where the wave is. They choose, look, we're going to hold it here, take a good trade, and then we can push out when you have to recall. This is what happens when lane swaps go well, and you get the choice of where your lanes are. That is, you know, a minute or two in the making at points, and I think that G2 do very well there. You know, Caliste blows the cleanse, will be able to get that wave at turret, but you see the threat. G2 having the choice of what they do with the waves is what makes that important.
Well, looks like it's going to be back up towards the top side for Hans Summer. Has hit that level 6, can transcend himself. Broken Blade, no TP, so he's going to lose a couple of minions to this tower. Just having a quick look to see what Canna was maxing second there.
Sion ult. Who needs to teleport?
Unstoppable. He'll still lose a couple of minions. One. He did lose it. He'll come back in and get it.
That's one.
Okay, look, man.
We really tried.
Betty would never do this to me. I mean, I'm just saying.
Look, our voices are very similar.
That is true. People probably think it's a Medi cast right now. So, Broken Blade will just push out that bot wave. I was looking, we had some information from Odo that often Jayces will max E second against the Sion. I think he's maxing W second because E gives you more percentage HP damage. And you can see it is W second for him.
Yeah, I think in this case, I think, you know, you're eventually going to transition to a role where you're much more about being backline DPS and being ranged, so I suppose it's less about the individual matchup. We, I guess, very basically kind of think about the matchup there. Casey will want to really, at some point, group up long-range Jhin and the Jayce. These can't really poke in the way that he'd want to. It's basically going to be random Braum Qs, and then something like the Ziggs trying to contest the poke.
Broken Blade was on the wrong side of Canna there for a second, trades back into him. Yike is waiting by the tower to see if perhaps something materialized, but nothing will. He will just be able to catch the wave, and Canna tanks another tower shot. I do wonder as well if after losing that first blood, Canna was like, there's no real point trying to win the lane as effectively as I could, because I'm not going to be as useful into this Sion that already has a 300 gold lead on me.
Yeah, especially once you get that first good back. Sometimes it snowballs from there. Top lane can often be decided by a good first back at points. And we did say G2 managed the lane swap very well. I will say, no, it's a good lead, 1,000, getting corrupts as well. They do have a Volibear. Volibear is strong, doesn't scale fantastically well compared to something like the Sejuani. Now, it's better than it was before in some methods where it really was, well, you get a chem tank and one item. That's really what you achieve in the game. Actually, Yike could go for a...
Yeah, SkewMond used the smite here, and Yike knows... Oh no, he does steal it. It's just SkewMond gets the credit because he got 2 or 3.
What happens is, when someone gets 2 out of the 3, it doesn't matter who kills the last one, it will always show up as the person who killed the 2. So it's like, oh, his Volibear comes up on the kill feed. No, he doesn't get the 3rd one, he just gets 2 out of the 3.
It was a good ward on the grubs though, meaning that they saw SkewMond use the smite on the 2nd grub. Yike knew he could jump in, smite it away, and just Arctic Assault out of the fight. For the moment, still a small lead for G2 overall. Where are we getting that from? Mostly in the jungle. You can see SkewMond has about a 10 CS lead. There's a little bit in mid and bot lane as well, because the lane swaps have, as you said, been played just that little bit better, as Hans Summer tried to get onto Caliste, but doesn't quite have the damage to take him down yet without a first completed item.
Does mean that he's completely locked under turret. Needs to be a little bit afraid. He technically does have ult, does have flash. No barrier on Caliste, needs to be a little bit careful there. Dragon now in a minute. Let's see a contest over this one. Cap's getting a shove in here, going for the Blackfire on the Ziggs. We sometimes see the Ludens. We've seen a drop-off in Seraphs. Thankfully, I think, Orcs somewhere out there. You know, blessing the Ziggs god that less people are building Seraphs nowadays. Wants to be good DPS. Now, the Ziggs does need to actually hit a lot of skill shots. There is less point-and-click CC than something like the Leona, Rakan, Nautilus kind of combos we often see the Ziggs with, regardless of whether he's in bot lane or in mid lane. So keep an eye on the skill shot accuracy from Caps, actually.
Yeah. Keep an eye on that Mega Inferno Bomb as well. Because what you tend to see is someone locked up with concussive blows or Sion ult and then Mega Inferno Bomb just on their face. And it's like, you can flash away from this, but then you burn that summoner just to get out of the big AoE DPS coming out from Caps. He's going E second as well for his max, the Hexplosive Minefield instead of the Satchel, which I do think we saw in the LCK. Maybe Chovy did it, I want to say.
Can't remember the player, but I do remember a Twitter conversation about it.
Orcs was very angry. That's what I tend to remember about those sorts of situations. Might not have been Chovy, but we did see it recently as G2 set up around this bot side for the Drake. Hans Summer dodging away from the Deadly Flourish. Still has both those summoners. In fact, Pretty much all the summoners across the board are up. Those TPs in the top side not available, but Broken Blade's already across here. Canna's working his way down, just leaving base right now. G2 have already started the Dragon. AC might just give up the Ghost on this one. I think that's what they'll do. They got the first, they're okay with that. Chem taken by G2. And it's another Cloud Soul to grace the Rift, Alex.
All right, so G2 get themselves one of those early Dragons. KC not in a position to contest. KC, quite interested to see how they approach the next couple of objectives. When do they feel like they're ready to fight? I think G2, they're actually already at that position now. We've got, you know, one item on the Yunara, one item on the Ziggs, very long-range follow-up from that champion of the Ziggs too. Sion can start fights very effectively, and we're also in the point of power for the Volibear. First item, that Cosmic Drive, you mentioned the build earlier, stuff like the Flicker Blades likely coming in too. Real question for me will be when they choose to fight.
Caliste taking a bad trade there. Glacial Fisher going wide. Caliste flashes and cleanses. Targamas stunned up as well. The Arc of Judgment sends him to meet his maker. SkewMond on the chase. No sums on Caliste. It's time for a Stormbringer. Doesn't even need the ult. Burns the flash instead. Hits him with the Thundering Smash, and that's 2 quick kills to G2.
G2 hit their power spike. One item on these champions is deadly, and KC do not respect it quite enough. Yunara starts to throw those prayer beads through them. Synod's in top side.
Unstoppable Onslaught coming out. Decimating Smash. Oh, good knockback by Canna. Still going to be slow. Flash countered with a flash of his own. Canna heals up with the Grasp. Broken Blade can't look for anything more. A recall coming out from Canna. Labrov falling low here as the heal comes out. Tower falls to Caps. Vladi on the chase. Yike trying to get in here as well. Has that Glacial Prison, but won't go for it. Currently a 3v4 in favor of G2. And KC just have to settle for the chip damage on the G2 players.
I mean, that was a really intelligent roam over by Caps, knowing, okay, we just won the fight. I am a Ziggs. I can kill this tower. KC tried to punish, but sadly can't really get the real teeth into the fight that maybe Vladi could have looked for a shuffle, but I think with, you know, Caliste and Targamas down, it would have been very risky to do so. Can't find anything as revenge. This is a problem. You know, G2 have hit their power spike. Have wave play from Ziggs too. KC don't have a response, and while I do think later into the game they have a very good team comp with good range, good team fighting potential with their tank frontliner Sejuani as well, they've just given up an awful lot now. G2 have a great lead to use as a platform for the next fight.
Probably the largest early game lead we have seen in this series, almost 4K at 14 minutes. It's truly exploded in G2's favor, and you can see 1,000 gold lead on both Summer and SkewMond. Caps almost a K ahead. Caliste struggling to deal with this Yunara. You see why it has been banned out so often in the series, although it has been G2 doing the banning, not wanting to give it to KC as that first pick on blue side.
KC quite significantly far behind in the bot lane matchup now. Of course, they've moved into mid lane. At some point, KC are going to have to start grouping up and using their range advantage. That'll normally be around objectives. My worry is they've given up too much now.
Yeah.
That is my worry. They're going to have to somehow claw their way back into the game. Giving up an objective or two perhaps doesn't look like that much now, but giving up a Herald maybe opens up something like a Herald with a Volibear ult tower dive later on. They don't want to give this up too easily.
But how do you really contest? You don't have completed items on your mid, on your AD carry. You've got Heart Steel. Cool, Yike's getting some stacks, and it will, if he gets enough, scale up through the game, but it's just not damage right now. Yumu's complete on Canna, but he's not there really to do too much right now. Can't even get through the shield on the Sion. And if you're KC, you're like, well, who usually carries us? Canna can be really good. Yike getting caught out. Labrov trying to flash forward. Stormbringer in from SkewMond, and down goes Yike. G2. Summer here as well. The curtains have opened. The wave not cleared out. Rift Herald coming down. It might just be a tier 2 here, Nymaera.
They have the Ziggs. It's the Herald Ziggs charge. They didn't respect the Volibear ult. It's going to be a huge inner turret push.
There it goes. G2 might just try and shepherd this forward. Labrov could just ride it away. No, Canna says nope.
Car's broken down. Need a replacement. What did Finn call it?
They called a AAA quickly.
The company car for...
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, that was fantastic.
But G2, like 5,000 gold ahead right now. They are in such a strong position. Everyone with a sizable chunk of change in their advantage. For KC, after a very solid game 1, things have kind of fallen apart, especially here in game 4. They do still have roads back to Worlds, roads back to Madrid. They'll take on Vitality if they lose this game. But then you're down to the lower side of the bracket. One loss knocks you out.
Oh, ult.
Summer transcending. Oh, Broken Blade. Okay. That's some Tokyo drifting if I've ever seen it. Bounces off one wall into the other. It's, we call that a messenger in bowling.
I mean, most of the players on the Rift are playing League of Legends. Broken Blade's playing pinball. I didn't even know that was possible. Another turret will come in with the Ziggs satchel charge. That'll be the full outer ring down, plus the inner and top lane. And the gold lead keeps increasing.
It's 6k at 17 minutes. There's a Drake for G2 if they want it, but they want to just keep pushing forward. Satchel charge away. Nature's Grass coming out, will clip Caps. Targamas flashes in with the twisted advance, but Caps, they just don't have the damage to get onto him. Caps survives through it. Targamas does not. Broken Blade TP's in, and KC immediately call for the retreat.
G2 take a huge, huge lead. KC, they wanted to survive to the point where they could use their ranged carries. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do so now. Real credit to playing around the Volibear and the Sion. Snap engage. First time was the Volibear ultimate under the top lane. Then it's the Sion ult into mid lane. And as quick as you like, Caps goes from lane to lane, satchel to satchel, and the gold lead gets worse and worse. KC realized they must get something back. They must get some kind of gold. Some fights when their cooldowns are down. They just can't quite find the angle. Goes a little bit too far as Targamas looking for Caps. You kind of have to get onto him. I understand the decision-making, but the execution doesn't leave him with enough follow-up to capitalize.
Yeah, reeks of desperation. Yeah. Really, like your AD carries down, you're looking for something. Yes, if it had worked, great. You get a bounty, you get some gold back in your pockets, but it's a one-way mission. At that point, you are going hell for leather and just hoping that you can survive. Now, no flash on Targamas. Does have the unsealed spellbook. Heal and cleanse his current options.
Like the lone wolf mission on Halo Reach. Objective, survive.
Yeah, I mean, it's Helldivers as well, isn't it? You just have to live through it all if you can, but KC are struggling to do that right now. 6-0, 4 towers to 1. It is the most dominant early game we have seen so far this series.
And a real credit to Hans and Labrov too, who have used slight edges from the lane swap into the wave manipulation, into good trades, and then just breaking down this bot lane bit by bit. I think Hans and Labrov did a great job of taking a small advantage, which we highlighted from that lane swap, and made it into something much, much more than that. G2, their snowballing instincts in this game have been really, really good. They got a reality check in game 1. I think that's important to them. The rest of the series has looked a lot more dominant.
It definitely has. KC have had some solid signs throughout it, but you can see in this game, not too much to smile at. Yike closer to Labrov than anyone on G2. Oof. A 2k disadvantage from his enemy jungler, who is the lowest gold apart from Labrov's support on G2. Broken Blade pushing through mid. KC trying to defend. Vladi looking for that next item in the top lane. There's a tower there with a bounty on it. He might just try and get a little bit of gold back in his pocket. But there's 2 items apiece on Hans Summer and on Caps. Broken Blade has 2 alongside it. Unstoppable onslaught. Between the uprights, Canna flashes it. Labrov looking at Glacial Fissure. Decimating smash. There's the follow-up. And they just die. KC lose 2 in the blink of an eye.
G2, that was disgusting. Blink and you miss it. 2 dead from KC. Then the base comes crumbling down. The inhibitor turret falls. G2. This snowball is a snowball from hell. KC have not. All they do is get crushed by it. They can't stand.
Often we talk about utter can't being an utter can't, but I think this time it is a fine prize for G2. They push through the inhibitor tower on the bottom side. They have an 8,000 gold lead 20 minutes into the game. Labrov's going to try and keep Yike at bay. Maybe he can steal. TP coming in from Vladi. The curtain's open. Will there be an encore for KC, or is the show over? Curtain call, Hans Summer flashes away. Vladi stand up. Hans Summer lives through it, but dies afterwards. Vladi still going on to SkewMond here. The flash away from SkewMond has the blast code, but played on the wrong side of the wall. Labrov trying to retreat from Yike. SkewMond will be able to get away. Caps opens up onto Targamas. Labrov coming back to rejoin with his team in the end. G2 do lose their AD carry just to Vladi, but they won't lose much more. Canna stayed around. Thought he could find something. Broken Blade will chase him out. Will G2 continue to chase in? Canna avoids the knock up there from Broken Blade by knocking him back, and in the end G2 will call off any further fight.
That's about as good as it gets for KC, and it feels so bad for them because they get the AD carry, but nothing else. They still lose the Atacana. Reminder, their base was broken just before this too. The Jhin ult's not bad. They take a lot of HP off with the fourth shot. And Vladi tries so hard to get onto Hans Sandwich. Does manage to just take him with a tiny bit of damage, which does enough. and luckily just survives. If he'd managed to sweep back the whole team, perhaps they'd been a little bit more that bloody lucky to survive at the end of that, actually.
It was the Leandri's burn. He just completed it after taking the top tier 1. So good item pickup there for Vladi.
KC have invested a lot into this Azir to get that.
Yep.
You know, he's even in gold. That has been at the cost of losing so much in the base, but at least it leads to something there. A lot of eggs put into the Vladi basket, hoping that the Azir can somehow scale and carry.
The question is, can he? In game 1 had a really good time up against Caps on that Orianna, was able to survive through the bonk incredibly effectively. The Akali, though, game 2 had a struggle after getting ahead in the early game. Part of that comes down to composition. Also part of it to his execution on the day. Right now, G2 in such a commanding position. The fortunate thing for KC is it's not Soul for G2 on this Cloud Drake. They will get it. KC can't really challenge. They're trying to find things on the other side of the map, which does make sense. But because they were able to get that Infernal Drake earlier, due to the lane swaps, KC have bought themselves 5 minutes of some sort of semblance of quiet, some semblance of peace, or as much peace as you can find when you are 7,000 gold behind.
Yeah, it's time to lick their wounds, really. Put the bandages on, square up for another round. KC do not want to let this go if they can help it. Very, very hard to come back in a game like this, though. Now, they have waited to try and scale. Very hard, though, to take winning fights against a Sion that is so tanky. And the Volibear that can even turn off your turrets. He's gone towards, you know, a bit more tanky build after that first item. Now Volibear and SkewMond, he's just going to dunk you on the turret. You don't even get to use that very much.
The thing is, like, SkewMond doesn't need the damage the Flicker Blades provides. It's a solo queue build. Does work incredibly effectively with the Jack of all trades, but instead Iceborne Gauntlet. The Spectre's Cow going up towards possibly a Spirit Visage for that extra healing. It's Vladi, the key damage dealer on KC, a guy that G2 have to be cautious around. Canna is pushed up here, but he's going to recall. He's going to go for the extra wave. G2 just denying everything they can out of the jungle. Now, with Baron up in a minute, we get to see G2. Do they dot their I's and cross their T's? Do KC find some way of sneaking a bit of vision behind, finding a good TP flank, perhaps?
Yeah, I think KC are in a similar situation that we saw in game, I suppose game 3 we saw at points of this, right? Well, and game 2 as well, a little bit. Well, the games that they've been losing, of course. They're now looking for objective steals and real big misplays from G2. They've lost agency in this game.
Yep.
They don't get to call the shots. They were waiting to see if they could accrue enough items to make a play. I think if Vladi gets towards Void Staff, maybe we can have another conversation about that. Does have the Blighting Jewel already. The rest of his team is not going to be at that point of power there. I mean, this is a very anemic Jhin, does not have something like the Infinity Edge just yet. I mean, it's okay items on Canna Resolve, but it's not percent pen. So the Sion is going to be ruling supreme. The Infinity Edge is now in from Caliste. Maybe that can be a little bit more damage uptick, which they need, but let's make no mistake. It would be disingenuous to say that KC have like a strong chance of coming back here. Yeah. This is that thread the needle experience. That being said, we've seen stranger things happen before. KC, can they make it happen, or G2, will they just continue? It's incredible snowball they've done this game.
We talked about possible sneaky wards. There's one just outside the Baron pit there for KC. Put a control ward in themselves. They do have a little bit of vision on G2 if they did decide to start up the big purple worm. Broken Blade just clearing out the mid wave. Hunsummer's going to be given all of this gold, building up towards his own Infinity Edge, quite possibly, with the Kraken and the Runeans already complete. Broken Blade, now this is a bit of a choke point. Broken Blade can tank for a while. SkewMond can look for the engage. Gets shot blasted, doesn't take too much of his health and walks away. G2 playing around vision more than anything else. They're not really looking for a fight. If one offers itself into their open hands, they'll happily take it, but they don't need the battle right now. They just want to get that vision control down.
And I think particularly SkewMond does actually need to still play realistically. He can get burst out. The Volibear is not a hyper tank. That's an ult onto Caps.
Satchel charges away from the Glacial Prison. There's no tower here to save him. TP comes out. The smite from Yike for the slow. SkewMond on the chase. Flashes forward, looking for the fight, and Canna able to escape for now, but the Unstoppable Onslaught will find him. Decimating Smash for the follow-up. Yike flashing away. Arctic Assault. Storm comes down upon his head. A Tempest, and its name is G2. The Baron now in their eyes.
The Freljord face-off goes the way of SkewMond. G2 jungler against ex-G2 jungler. G2 go towards the Baron. No smite on the other side, and KC they get, I mean, they've got themselves one kill in this game, folks. They have been well and truly shut out. G2 domination here in game 4. KC have barely seen daylight.
It's 9,000 gold lead at 27 minutes. It's only going to extend as they take this Baron up to 10k. And for KC, that's a long, long way back into this game, into this series. Caps,
so close.
Great flash. Satchel into the flash, as you say, so close. But as soon as they don't catch him, they know they are in for a world of hurt.
Realistically, KC have to play around slim margins. This is not a bad attempt. There is an isolated carry with frontline a little bit further away. That's as good as it gets. The fact that even that doesn't work is galling for KC. Great turnaround by the tanky members of G2.
Said ban Volibear.
Ban Volibear?
Apparently that's what you need to do. 40 seconds before Cloud Soul available to G2. On top of Onslaught coming in again as they go for Canna, exhaust him immediately. The chase from Cats, the Satchel charge and the Glacial Fissure makes Canna meet his maker. Broken Blade distracting the rest of KC. As now, once again, they have to defend in a 4v5. G2 are going to go down towards the bottom side, just try and crack through that inhibitor.
G2 have just started as they meant to go on. They started by killing Canna, and they have made a habit of it in this game. Canna so important to KC, has not been given room to breathe. G2 pushing through the bot side, cracked the inhib, and the base is broken once again for KC.
Broken Blade can shepherd in this next set of minions, but SkewMond has the wave in the mid lane. Looks for the stun onto Yike, does land it. Curtains open from the Jhin, hits a couple on the Broken Blade, but the Mega Inferno Bomb takes half his health, and now an Unbreakable is up from Labrov. Caps will take the last shot into a Deadly Flourish. Perhaps they can find something here. Stormbringer away, defensive. Nature's Grasp gets a couple of roots, but Vladi too low to get in. TP behind Canna. He's going to try a 1v5, or maybe just try and escape, as G2 not unhealthy enough for them to take it. Targamas knocked up with a Decimating Smash. SkewMond already on the Drake here. Oh! Broken Blade just slams the train into the tree. He's a lumberjack for a reason, it seems.
He just swings the hammer down. I mean, Targamas does know what hit him. Well, I mean, I guess he does after that point. He'll steal the death recap. Sion, 4-0-3. BB, we said, oh, you know, start of the series, not fantastic from him. He has slaughtered his opponents in this game. This Sion has taken over. And, you know, G2, they have so often this regular season relied on BB and his individual advantages. BB currently actually on a 6-game win streak on Sion and LEC. It would extend this to 7 with a win here. And you know, there have been some, I guess, some complaints about him. Oh, just go back to meta. Well, he's done that now. How'd you like it? Jeez, this has been a strong game from him.
It really has. I think apart from game 1 and perhaps game 2, the rest of the series has been really solid for him. Parts of game 2 was just the matchup, you know, pick K'Sante deliberately for the team. And game 1 was a bit of a struggle bus. G2 now pushing through the top side, have the Cloud Soul at their backs, ushering them forward towards their Nexus. Unstoppable Onslaught again. He finds Vladi, not with a knockup. Vladi has to flash away. Yike towards the bottom side. Labrov gonna get hit with the Glacial Prism, but Mikhail's himself there that has the cleanse effect from the Summoner Spellbook. And Yike just trying to clear out a bit of vision on the side. The ultimates, only one invested by KC, but their base in tatters. Flying scraps at most around them. Maybe they can farm up the super minions, but I don't think G2 is going to give them much of a respite.
Look, it's Tutorial League of Legends, folks. All 3 inhibs down. Soul claim from G2. Elder on the horizon. Baron, of course, in 2.5 minutes, if the game even extends to that. KC are very much last life, last chance now. It felt like they've been on that deathbed for a little while. G2, all they need to do really is just capitalize on this game. What a clean game from G2. Yeah. They took a slight lead onto that top lane, that first blood, took a slight lead in the getting the waves in the right position in the lane swap, and they just haven't looked back. This has been play into play, snowball into snowball. The Volibear dives under the turret, Sion screaming like a hot rod across the map as well. In KC, they have run afoul of it. They have not been able to stand and fight.
Yeah, just haven't been able to find really anything in this game, KC. 1 kill, 2 towers, and a Drake as G2 were swapping towards the top side. Now the march continues for G2. Looking at another Worlds qualification for KC. They still have more opportunities after this. Play up against Vitality, trying to get back to Madrid. SkewMond's going to get the stun onto Yike. KC still trying to defend. The last breaths of life, still in their lungs, in their bodies. Glacial Prison onto SkewMond, but there's the Chaos coming out. Nature's Grass used as well. Yike falling low. Labrov's already killed up Targamas, and Caliste and Vladi were caught. The exhaust onto Vladi, stunned underneath the fountain. He's going to be healed up enough, but the Nexus is bare and open. There are three inevitabilities in the LEC. Death, taxes, and G2 making worlds. 9 of the last 10 as they take down KC.
Madrid, China, G2 is coming. They qualified for Worlds, they qualified for Madrid. G2 3-1 over the blue wall. The first game gave them a reality check. They nodded their heads, resettled themselves, dominated the rest of the series.
They really did. For KC, some problems. Their early game much better than it has been, apart from game 4. But actually having coordination in some of the team fights. A few individual mistakes as well. Look back to game 3, the Atacant play. Starting it, running away, going back, coming back. It was a little bit all over the place. Still, they have the lower bracket to make their way through. You can vote for one of the G2 players, though, in your Kia Player of the Series. SkewMond, Caps, and Hun Summer are your options.